Hello, viewers. I'm glad you're here. Today, I'm talking about something scary, something that has frightened me for years. It's whole rice cakes, Gumeongddeok. So today, I'm going to tell you what is Gumeongddeok, why am I afraid of them, what's the purpose of Gumeongddeok in the first place, and what can I brew with them, and what will I brew with them? So that's what I'll cover today. So first of all, what are Gumeongddeok? Well, they're one of the standard methods for preparing rice for brewing. So here's a list of methods. And you've seen me make juk, bambak, godubap many times on this channel, but I have never made Gumeongddeok. And Gumeongddeok literally are whole rice cakes. They're rice cakes in the shape of a donut. They are rice flour mixed with a small amount of boiling water, formed into these donut shapes, and then boiled and then mashed into a paste and cooled down and used for brewing. And as I was researching them, I realized it's just boil them, mash them, put them in a brew. So why am I afraid of them? Well, they're difficult to make, laborious. Let's just see what a brewing teacher has to say about this method. Scroll down here. Yeah, okay. From now on, it's time for pain. Well, that doesn't sound good. This is really a lot of work. So you spend all this time making the donut shapes, and then you just mash them after they're boiled. Here's another entry from the same brewing teacher. And this seems very ominous. If you knead like this until you die, you will see the dough loosening up more and more. It takes about an hour to get to this point. Well, that sounds terrible. So I was scared away from this method just because it was difficult and laborious, and also because I didn't know exactly how to make it. I was afraid I would make mistakes while I was doing it, and that the brew would not turn out in the end. So in my mind, it sort of had a legendary status of this difficult method. Maybe I would never figure out how to do. And I think this is a natural question to have. Why do you have to make the donut shapes, and then soon after you make them, you crush them into a paste? Why did you go to that effort? So I'll try to explain what I think is the reasoning for this method. What is the purpose of doing things this way? So the first reason, I think the most significant one, is that this method uses the least amount of water possible. If you're working with rice flour, you could make juk that uses quite a lot of water, or you could make bambak, but this would be at most 1-to-1 rice to water ratio. So this uses the least amount of water. That's why it requires this special preparation method just to be able to cook it and not add a lot of water. So compared with juk and bambak, this uses much less water. And the result from brewing with Gumeongddeok is supposed to be aromatic and sweet, but not particularly high in alcohol. So keep that in mind about this method. That's the purpose is to produce a sweet brew because you're using the minimum amount of water in comparison to the amount of rice. And thinking about the shape, if you were just making rice cakes, you might just make a ball to start with. Well, that's difficult to cook completely, a big ball. So you might flatten it out into a disc. That would be easier to cook evenly by boiling. But then the center might not get cooked, even though the rest is already cooked. So that's why you put the hole in the center, and then you can, that ensures that the rice cake is cooked evenly by having it in this donut shape, this flat donut shape. So I think that's the purpose of the shape. The second reason I can think of is that maybe this method, the Gumeongddeok method, you only need 10 or 15 minutes of boiling water. That's a lot less than the amount of time you would need to boil water for steaming rice, for example, to make godobap. It might be sort of an efficiency thing. But the compensating fact is that you need to put a lot more effort into, grinding rice, dealing with the dough, kneading things to make the Gumeongddeok in the first place, to mash them, and to mix in the nuruk later. So I decided I should overcome my fears and make something with Gumeongddeok. But what can I make? So I looked for recipes that use Gumeongddeok, and there's actually a lot of them. I did not realize this, but two of the most common ones are, the first common one is ihwaju. I've heard of that. I've tasted that in Korea. It's the alcohol you drink with a spoon. So it's very thick, like a yogurt consistency, and it is fairly sweet and sour. You can make that just with Gumeongddeok, just that single stage. But instead of regular nuruk, you need ihwaju. To make ihwaju, you need ihwaju. I don't have that. I wasn't able to get any. So if I can't make ihwaju, what should I make? Well, I came across another recipe for hahyangju. That's lotus scent liquor, lotus scent alcohol, hahyangju. This recipe has been around for centuries. It looks promising to me. It uses regular nuruk, so I don't need a special kind of nuruk to brew this recipe. It was written down in Dimibang, the famous recipe book from 1670. So let's take a look at that text. That's it right here, and I can read the title at least, but it's translated here for us into regular Korean, and I can translate that in English here for you. Maybe I should try to follow this kind of recipe. There are, of course, variations. Here's another recipe that was written down around the year 1700. This is from the book Salim Gangje, or Mountain Forest Economy. This recipe is written in Chinese characters instead of Hangul, but it's a very similar recipe. Maybe I should try to follow this category of recipe, but it's hard to follow an old recipe like this directly because, for example, they don't tell you the amount of water to add, and the actual procedure for making the whole rice cakes is not spelled out for you. So I need to see some pictures, some videos. Yeah, let's look at this. This is from Sugukseoul that I was looking at earlier when I was saying how difficult it was. This blog entry really explains all the steps, and there's lots of tips here that I hope will help me be more successful. Just found this blog, so I'm really happy to follow it now. Yeah, so this is the recipe I'm going to follow. I also watched some videos specifically about making Gumeongddeok, and hopefully that helps me out a bit too, that I actually watched people make it. And of course, I have links to all of these things that I've mentioned in this video in the description. That's what I want to do. I'm overcoming my fear of whole rice cake, Gumeongddeok, and I'm going to brew with it. So that's what you'll see in the coming weeks. I am brewing with Gumeongddeok. So look forward to that. Let me know what you've been brewing in the comments, and thank you for watching.